Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today, I have the absolute pleasure to be speaking to my friend. I call him my friend. His name is Ron Klein. For those of you who may not know who Ron Klein is, Ron Klein happens to be the person that is known as the grandfather of possibilities. Think about that one for a second. Ron grew up right out of the Depression way back in the 30s, and he was drafted at the age of 18 for the Korean War back in the 50s. In addition, Ron is the person who has impacted millions of people across the United States and around the world, and you'll discover why. Also, he's the type of guy that likes to have fun, and he's a musician. He plays different instruments, and I'll tell you, I just cannot wait for Ron to share some of his stories. But last, he's married to his beautiful wife, Arlene. They live down in Florida, and September 2020, they'll be celebrating their 61st anniversary. So I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Ron Klein. How are you, Ron?
Oh, thank you so much, Hector. That sounds beautiful. But I sound with all those big numbers, I sound like a fossil, an old fossil. But basically, the whole thing about me is I'm old, but I'm not empty yet.
You're old, but you're not empty.
Not empty yet.
You know what? This interview is going to be very exciting, fun, and I'll tell you why. You know, many people have no idea who you are, right? Many people have no idea. And I know that once this video message gets out there, my goodness, you're going to be well known, my friend. Okay. Now, see, they know a little bit about you indirectly so far. But once we go through this interview, they'll discover who you really are, my friend. And I am so proud. So I just want to let you know quickly, you know, you and I met back in 2015.
Right.
I was invited, our good old friend, Greg Reed, to attend his event down in San Diego.
Yes.
And at that event, not only I went by myself, but I brought my wife and my 3 older kids.
Wonderful meeting.
We went as a group, and I'm sharing this here because I want you to know that you made a big impact in my life and our kids' life, just so you know, Ron. And the reason why is because when we got there, we arrived at the hotel, sunny San Diego, and the first couple that we saw as we were checking in, it was you and Arlene. Obviously, we had no idea who you were.
That's because we're little people and you didn't want to trip over us. Big people you can't help but bump into. Little people, you accidentally said, well, we better step around these 2. By the way, Arlene is 4 feet 7.5 inches, and I'm 5 feet 5 inches. So that's why you couldn't miss us.
Amazing. But I'll tell you, your heart is so huge, my friend, you and Arlene. So I just want the audience, the viewers, to understand that when my wife and I and our kids met Ron and Arlene, we started speaking to each other, still have no idea who they are. Next thing we know, he's telling us who he is, what he's done. I was blown away. And I want you to know, Ron, that when you explain to me who you are and what you've done for the world out there, I say, wait a second. I thought that the impact that you created on people, I thought that that person was already long gone. But guess what? You are alive and kicking, my friend.
Can't get rid of me. I'm not empty.
Not get rid of you.
It's only numbers. Hector, it's just a bunch of numbers. And no matter how you put them together, like I say, I keep going until I'm empty.
That's right. There you go. So Ron, the little time, listen, I mean, believe it or not, I can spend hours speaking to you because there is so much wisdom. There's so much wisdom. But today we don't have that much time. But here's what I like to do. Ron, I want you to share your story. And what I would love, the objective here is for you, my friend, to share your story in a way where you're going to impact people in their heart, in their mind. Because you see, Ron, there's a lot of people that quite often have reached a success at a certain level, and some others are trying to get that success. And I know that some of the things that we're going to touch on, I know that you're going to be inspiring quite a few people. And if you're watching this video, please share this video. Let people know who Mr. Ron Klein is once you discover it. So with that said, Ron, I'd like to start with the questions if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Very good. So tell the audience here, Ron, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
Oh,
and my parents were just plain regular people. My
mhm.
dad was a postal worker. My mom worked in a department store, and I was born in 1935. So they were tough times then, and it was just before the Second World War broke out.
Huh, wow. So you were, well, I didn't know that. That I didn't know about Pennsylvania. Okay, so we kind of sort of neighbors. I'm in New York, right?
Oh
So that's
yes,
very good.
yes.
So tell me something here. Did you complete high school back then? Did you go to college? What happened with you back then?
I completed high school, and that was an academic course. I also completed a vocational school, and I was very, very good in graphics art. And I was
Mm,
studying commercial art and went on to the Museum School of Art to sharpen all my skills in commercial art. So I was practicing commercial art up until age 18 when I was drafted into the service. But I always loved technology.
huh. Wow. So all of this happened in Pennsylvania at the time.
Correct.
Got it. Got it. So tell the audience here, Ron, obviously you reached pretty good success in your lifetime, my friend. And for that, I appreciate what you've done and I thank you for that. Are there any challenge that you have faced in your personal life or in business, and how did you overcome that?
Well, first, I want to say I never forgot where I came from when you said I achieved success. And I never forgot that. I'm a very humble person.
Beautiful.
Challenges, yes. In the military, of course, there were many challenges. And from age 18, I grew up very, very quickly being in combat, and I
Mhm.
became a man. And I would do it over again. I would sign another blank check for the government and for the United States, giving my services. So I'm proud that I was able to serve and did my part. That was a major challenge, and it was a major challenge adjusting when I came back from the service. In business, needless to say, every day was a challenge. Every day is a challenge. Um, and I'm glad to use that word challenge because in my life, there is never the word problem.
Hmm.
Problem is a frustration. Anything that was a problem, I turned into a challenge. And I said, there's always a gift behind every challenge and an opportunity behind every challenge. And I have a philosophy that goes along with that. So, yes, in business, there are many challenges, they never stop. But if you use simplicity
Mhm.
and basic philosophy of analyzing as to what's the challenge, what's the given with the challenge, where do you want to go? Everything else in between is the journey. That's the minutiae. You handle that as you go along. And I have a philosophy there as to what success in handling your challenges is. And I do it with my fingers. I say you've got to be smart, daring, and different. And when I say smart, I don't mean a
Smart, daring,
PhD.
different.
Smart, daring, and different. And I don't mean smart being a PhD from Harvard. I mean, learn something new every day.
Yes.
Speak to everyone. Everyone has something to offer. Be aware, know what's going on around you because knowledge is power and everything is valuable.
Yeah.
Everything and everyone has something to offer. The second is don't be afraid to make mistakes,
Hmm.
being smart and daring, okay? Daring, if you make mistakes, that's part of your education. I always say that if you painted something the wrong color the first time, paint it a different color. There's only plan A, okay? Failure is not an option.
Got it.
The last thing, to be different, is so important. you do whatever you do must provide a benefit. If it
Right.
doesn't provide a benefit, it's no more than just a hobby. So I
Hmm.
say you have to be smart, daring, indifferent. You must provide benefits.
So if you provide no benefit, might as well don't do it,
That's correct.
right? Got
That's
it.
correct.
Beautiful. Very, very well said. Um, Ron, I said in the introduction that you are an inventor. You are an inventor and you invented some cool stuff that I know that people at the age of 15 and moving forward, they have benefited from what you did.
Yes.
So I want to ask you before we get into the invention stuff, do you come from family of inventors?
It's interesting that you questioned me on that. My dad, of course, was just a plain everyday person working in the post office. My mom just in the department store. My grandfather, my mother's father,
Hmm.
was a famous inventor, and he was my mentor. I loved that man. I spent hours and hours with him all the time. He invented the first steam propulsion system for steamships to drive the propeller. He invented the torpedo detectors during the First World War for submarines. He invented the first pressing machine for tailors. He invented the rabbit ears for when television first came out. They had these rabbit
Those.
ears that would sit on the television. He was a diamond cutter. He would take carbon and turn it into diamonds and cut diamonds. And he was an excellent tailor. He even taught me how to sew with a sewing machine. And I followed him all the time.
Wow.
Even as he grew older and had a very serious illness, he died in my arms when I was 16 years old. And I'll
Oh,
never forget that. He was my mentor. So
that,
yes, I had a famous inventor in the family.
that is so beautiful. Now, Ron, that brings me to another question then. Are there any other inventors in your family besides him and you?
No, and I'm going to tell you that I don't use the word inventor.
Okay.
I have inventions.
Invention,
However, I classify myself as an innovator.
innovator. Got it.
I make things better. I look at an inventor saying, inventor holds his head and is in a dark room all day thinking, what can I invent today? I see a challenge and I say, can I make it better? Can I improve it? Can I make something new?
Hmm.
So I'm an innovator. Although I'm classified as an inventor, I
But
have patents, but I like to classify myself as an innovator.
Ron, that brings me to a point that, and I think I saw a video of yours. Um, what you have done here, in my opinion, is that you have found a problem and you brought in a solution.
Yes,
So I have a good friend of ours that says, find the need, fill the need. Isn't that true?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I do that by saying every challenge has a given issue and a situation, and every challenge is looking for a solution.
Right,
And so many people start in the middle because the middle is the journey of
right.
coming up with the answer. And if you start in the middle, you'll never be able to solve that challenge. And
Interesting.
you'll never find the opportunity.
That's right. So, Ron, obviously, there's people that are watching here that are in many different businesses, industries, whatever that is. Um, and we all reach a point where we shift, right? We're here, all of a sudden we shift, and then we grow up and we go into something bigger and better, right? That's usually the idea, always improving, right? So tell us here something, Ron. What shifted? When do you think it shifted for you to become an innovator? How old were you, and what do you think happened there?
You know, I have a saying, and I don't know if most of your audience is going to understand this right away.
Mhm.
I always say that I refuse to have a battle of wits with an unarmed person.
Oh,
Think about that. It's
huh.
not fair to communicate with someone who doesn't understand.
Right.
So it was my responsibility in life because I'm very technical and I have a technical background and my education is technical, I always look to say most people are not technical, but they want to understand. And then there are technical people that are going to solve the challenge.
Yeah.
I'm the person in the middle that says, I know how to solve the challenge. I know how I understand the technology of it, and I understand the pain point of the person that wants to learn. So I never have a battle of wits with an unarmed person. It's my responsibility to say, to educate them. And I do it jokingly. I say that goldfish have an attention span of 9 seconds. Today, most people only have an attention span of 8 seconds. So, like Einstein says, if you don't understand what you do yourself, you can't get it out in less than one sentence or less. So it's important to explain to people basically what it is that the message that you're delivering.
Yeah.
And then when they understand, they may have a difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I always offer them counsel, my advice to understanding something,
Right.
not just my opinion.
That's beautiful. That
So
is well said
that's
here.
what you have to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, this is the moment that people are waiting for. People want to know, well, who are you? What is it that you invented back then? So can you explain to us some of the things that you invented, my friend? And because it has made a huge impact, it continues to make an impact in the world.
Simple things that made things in the world function a little bit better. But after I explain what it is that I invented, you'll see that all I did was solve a challenge. The first thing, and I'll go through them quickly. The first thing I invented was the magnetic strip on the credit card.
Wow.
Second thing I invented was the formula to feed chickens to full maturity in a shorter period of time than the longer period of time that it took. So it was a combination of the proper nutrition. The third thing I invented was, and I think you're familiar with this, I developed the MLS system for real estate.
Mhm.
Okay, that was pretty
Thank you.
simple.
Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome. You're welcome. Then the next thing I developed was the voice response system for the banking industry, where you could key in your account number from the touch tone phone and get back your account information in voice, spoken voice. Then I spent a lot of years at the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street developing and automating all of the things that they needed automation for because it functioned in a very old automated way with lots of pieces of paper. I did program trading and list processing, different services, and then came up with the most important thing, which was the corporate listed bond monitor for the bond trading system for Wall Street. In other words,
Mm.
all corporate listed bonds from companies that traded on the New York Stock Exchange, they have their debt traded, and I came up with and developed a system to trade the debt. And that lasted for over a quarter of a century. And then I did it for the American Stock Exchange, the New York Futures Exchange, the Amex, the CBOE in Chicago,
Mm.
and the Treasury system. So it was automating Wall Street, and that was quite a bit. The
Wow.
simplest challenge I ever had was the challenge of inventing the magnetic strip on the credit card.
The magnetic strip on the credit cards. Who
Simplest
came up
challenge.
with that? Wow.
Well, what I came up with was a major department store came to me in 1966 and said, "We have a problem." And I said, "Well, let me turn the problem into a challenge." They said, "It takes too long to make a charge purchase." That's what they called them then,
Right.
because they were credit card purchases. They said, "It takes too long because every month the credit card companies has to give the merchant a book of all the negative account numbers, and they had to look up all those numbers and that negative account numbers,
Mhm.
and that takes too long. And then once he would find that your number wasn't in there, the burden was on him to enter in that information, write it in, and he had to make the decision whether your credit was good or bad." And I said, "Well, that's an easy solution. let's speed it up and let's take the burden off the merchant. And
Wow.
right around that time, reel-to-reel tape recorders came out. And I said, I'm an engineer. I have an idea. I know how tape recorders work. You can record music on the tape, or you can record voice. And I said, if I could take a little piece of the tape, record the account number on that little piece of tape, paste it on the back of the piece of plastic, which only had the account number embossed on it and the person's name, but tape it on the back of the piece of plastic, build a little device that mimics the tape reader, and make you the motor. Take that little piece of tape, slide it through the device that mimics the tape reader. That was it.
Oh my God. How long did it
How
take you
simple.
to come up with that? How much time frame did you spend?
Well, I oversimplified when I'm saying how simple it
Mhm.
was. I had to make sure that the speed at which you would remember you'd push it in slow and pull it out fast. Well,
Right,
everybody's speed as to how fast they swipe was different. So
right.
it was important for me to come up with synchronization that would say, okay, only synchronize it first. And I used what they call start-stop synchronization. Then the data was in between the start-stop synchronization. So I had to develop that. I had to develop the whole mechanism. The patent was 35 pages long, but the whole
Wow.
concept, the concept was basically very simple of a little piece of tape. And you know why it lasted so long in this world of obsolescence? I
Mhm.
got the patent in 1969, and here we are in 2020, and it's still being used in hotels, driver's license, and gasoline machines, still being used.
Yeah.
Well, the reason it survived so long is because it doesn't require energy. It's just a piece of magnetic information. If it
Hmm.
doesn't require energy, it doesn't radiate. If it doesn't radiate, there was never fraudulence at the point of sale. It was
Yes.
always further down the line. So it doesn't transmit. The chip on the card, that's a whole different subject.
Right.
That's a little computer, and that can be compromised very easily, and it has to be shielded. But we won't talk about that right now. But that
Right.
was the simplest approach to solving a challenge. So you
Wow.
got to be smart, daring, and different. I was smart because I paid attention and I learned all about tape recorders.
Hmm.
Okay. Daring, I made a lot of mistakes along the way correcting it. The first time I thought I would punch holes in the card and so on and so forth. And different, it had to provide a benefit. The benefit was it had to make the process faster and take the burden off the merchant. That's the philosophy.
That is so beautiful. We all use credit cards, I'm telling you. And you know what? Quite often I go into stores and that chip, sometimes they don't work.
Well, I don't
I'm
want to
so
take
used
your
to this.
precious time. I don't want to take your precious time and bash the chip. The chip, when you put it in the machine, it depends on little contacts to press against the little points on the chip. If you look at your credit card now and look at the chip, you'll see little scuff marks on it. That's where
Mhm.
when you push it in the machine, the little contacts lay against it. Those contacts after a while weaken. So sometimes you have to push it in and out a couple of times
Yes.
until it reads it.
Yeah.
And it's slow. And it as soon as you put that card in the machine, it becomes a transmitter.
That's right.
Somebody behind you in the line can have a little scanner in their pocket and scan that machine and scan that card. They've
Yeah.
got all your
Very
information.
true.
But we won't talk about that now.
Ron, obviously, as you know, I have been in real estate for 32 years as of 2020. And I'll tell you, I have been very successful as a real estate professional here in New York. And I want you to know that the multiple listing service that we participate in and that we use is genius.
Thank you.
So what you're saying is that you are the person who invented it. Is that what you're saying?
I developed that in 1967.
Oh my God.
And it was very simple then.
Oh my God.
Very simple.
That is amazing. This is what we rely on as realtors for us to do business in real estate and connect with many buyers and sellers and provide them the data that they want. Multiple listing service is critical for us. And I want to thank you in behalf
Thank
of the
you.
entire real estate community all over New York, all over the country, all over everywhere. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, it's been further enhanced many
Of course.
times over from the
Yes,
basic,
of
but
course.
um, it was just a challenge. And when you go back to what it had to do and the purpose of it was pretty simple.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that I want to impress everyone about is you don't have to be the sharpest knife in the drawer.
You don't
All you
have to
have
be the sharpest knife in the drawer.
all you have to do is be aware, learn something new every day. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know, failure is not an option.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that should be an attitude. Failure is not an option. That should be an
Failure
attitude
is not
we
an
should all
option.
have.
What happens if you paint it the wrong color the first time? Paint it a different
Yeah.
color, right? There's only plan A. And
So,
if you
right,
have that attitude, it works.
it
And if
does
you
work.
can't, when I did the credit card thing, being an engineer, I fully understood it myself
Of course.
because I was fortunate enough from the GI Bill when I came out to go to college, and I put in 5 years of getting my engineering degree and my mathematics degree. But the point is, when I came up with the idea, if I wasn't capable of solving it myself technically, you hire someone. You hire a technical person to solve it. Just make sure that you have enough sense to give them the specifications as to
Yeah.
what you want, because you refuse to have a battle of wits with an unarmed person.
You know, Ron, that brings me to that message that you and I are very aware of. Work your strengths, hire your weaknesses.
Yes.
Right? That's exactly what you
Yes.
did, and that's exactly
Exactly.
that. This is exactly what we should all be doing because we cannot be good at everything we do. Right?
Exactly.
You know, you got to be able to have a team behind you, people that are smarter than you that can get you there faster. Isn't that correct?
Correct. And
Beautiful.
you
Beautiful.
have to seek knowledge where you need it. In
Right.
other words, not, you seek counsel, and
Right.
counsel is in the form of advice. Counsel
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean a lawyer. Counsel
Right.
means somebody who's has the knowledge and has been there before, has the advice they could give you. You
Yes.
don't want to go to Aunt Martha, who's going to tell you why it won't work because she's never done it before. That's
She's
an
never done.
opinion. You
That's
don't
not
want opinions, right?
Oh my God. So Ron, can you please share with the audience, is there anything that you're working on
Oh yeah,
that you're thinking of inventing? I mean, you don't have to let us know, but is there something that you're working on?
absolutely.
Oh my God.
Because I'm
Amazing.
not empty.
So you're not empty. That's right. So that goes to show me and shows everyone out there that's watching that there's never a dull moment. When if you are really destined to succeed and you're hungry and driven and passionate on what you do, there's always something that you could be doing different, correct?
Absolutely. And retirement, if you want to define retirement,
Please.
retirement is when you're prepared to go into a senior living facility and play bingo. I don't know how to play bingo. So retirement is not in my scorecard.
Amazing, amazing. Wow. That is so cool. Can you share with
But
the audience? So when are you planning? Because I had a conversation with you recently. When are you planning to retire?
when I'm 90,
When you're 90, and then
yes,
and you're gonna learn how to play bingo then?
I might learn how to play bingo then, and I'm going to stay around until about 104.
104. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, you already called it, right? Remember,
Oh,
bingo.
yes, I've got a plan. Yeah, because I want a little time to relax at 90.
You know, and that's really what it is. So you called already 104. That's where you're heading. Good for you.
Yes, yes.
Now, what advice can you give someone that perhaps has a knack for inventions? Is there something that you could share with the audience?
Absolutely. And it's just a few words. It must be a novelty. When I say novelty, it has to have a purpose, okay? It must have a purpose. It can't be, it has to be novel in its approach, whatever your idea is. And most important, it must provide a benefit. Now, it doesn't have to be a new invention. It could be an improvement over something that exists, which is very, very possible in today's world. You can always improve something. There's
Okay.
always a better way to do it or a
Right.
more efficient way. So it must have, and don't worry about failure or having to go through this a few times. There's
Mhm.
only plan A. Plan A is the end result must be a benefit, and it wants to be novel, to be patentable. And there's all types of ways to protect your intellectual property. So that's
Beautiful.
keeping it very simple.
Yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Now, what can you tell? What can you tell? Obviously, some of the viewers, maybe someone that is maybe in high school, someone that is in college, in school right now, someone that's just trying to get started. What can you tell the younger generation trying to get out there in the world? What can you share with them?
Examine your personal qualities so carefully.
So know yourself.
Know yourself.
Mm,
Absolutely. And you may be thinking of one career for yourself, but always have a backup. Always be capable of reinventing yourself and knowing what your qualities are. You, everybody sells, okay? And when you sell on your credibility of your strengths, okay? So know where your strengths are, know how you can build on those strengths, and that's where that'll make a big difference.
that's
So you
beautiful.
must, yeah, you must know your capabilities.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Now, Ron, explain to us, what do you do now? Are you working with people? What do you do? Briefly, let us know.
Well, okay, you did ask me for, do I have any new inventions? I'll go over those things I'm working on. So I do have a company that I'm a principal with, and I have investors and I have technical people who are supporting that company, and it's growing rapidly, and we're making a big difference, and it's going to have an impact on the world again because I'm doing what's needed in the marketing world of marketing that's going to help. I also consult. I do a lot of consulting, and my consulting is in two forms, both mentoring and a strategic advisor.
Mm,
So I spend a lot of time on the phone helping people go to the next level. And I
mm.
help them with their businesses going to the next level, both from a people standpoint and from a technical standpoint as to what's important and what should they concentrate on first. So my day is full.
That is so cool. I'll tell you what, Ron, I'll tell you, you really have inspired me more again. I'm sure that you inspire some of the viewers here.
Well,
Now,
thank you.
before we go, I have one request for you. One request. And here's the request. Okay. You're very innovative, right? You're
Yes,
always thinking, right? You've been married to your beautiful wife, Arlene, okay? In September 2020, you're going to be married already 61 years. Can you invent something related to marriage so people can stay together for years to come?
absolutely. There's two words that are needed to keep the marriage together. Respect for one another,
Beautiful.
because remember I said you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
We learn from our spouse. You must have respect and you must have communications which allows you to agree to disagree.
Wow. That is so cool.
Love is always there.
61 years, my friend, and you keep on going. I want to thank you, Ron, in behalf of the audience that are watching this here. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for the impact that you have made to humanity in so many ways, to business people, to the young generations out there that you're going to be making an impact to. For that, I thank you, Ron. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking your time to sharing with us, my friend.
Thank you. I would like to just mention the two things that I'm working on that I think your audience might find interesting.
Okay?
One is I came up with an invention using your smartphone and some very special little adhesive labels that are QR code labels. I think everybody knows what a QR code label
Absolutely.
is.
QR
It
code,
looks like a little postage stamp.
right?
I do some very unique things with the QR code, and that QR code, along with the special phone app is for the visually impaired, blind. They can take
Wow.
that little, they take that little sticker that I put into a little book that looks like this,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 100 of these little labels in there, and you just peel off the label. The blind person puts it on what they want to identify, whether it be their peanut butter or their prescriptions, their aspirins versus their blood pressure medication. They point their phone at it, and it tells them what it is. Okay,
Wow.
and it's wonderful, and it's programmable. In other words, once they tell that little QR coded label what the device is in their daily life to help them, whether
Mhm.
it be their piece of clothing or what's some in their pantry, and if they want to change it to something else, or if they want to say what's in their box, they can change it anytime. The label stays permanent. The contents they can change at any time. And that is, there's 240 million blind people in the world. There's 42 million blind people here in the United States, and I'm
Wow.
helping a tremendous quantity.
Wow.
The other thing I did was I took the same principle and said, well, what can we do to help the sighted? And we're using that where you can take that code, put it on sell sheets, put it on shelf tags, put it on products, and it takes you to a position in the cloud with an infinite amount of anything you want to put on there: videos, images, files, advertisement, testimonials, messages from the president of the company, and change it constantly. It does away with websites, and it's as easy as copy and paste. So without saying any more, people can go to that website and learn all about it.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. What is the website again?
Okay, that website is called envisioneli.com. That's ENVISION, Envision Eli, ELI.com. And
Wow.
there's two sections in there, one for the visually impaired and one for the commercial market.
That is so cool. That is so beautiful. My God, let me tell you that just made my day. Doing something for people that are impaired
Yes,
visually. What an impact that's going to create. Oh my God. You know, I'll tell you one thing though. I can tell you, and I am so grateful for everything that you have shared with us, for what you do. You know, I just want to put another. I want to make another request to
sure.
your beautiful wife Arlene to please keep
Okay.
taking care of you, please. I want to keep you forever.
She does a good job. She really cares for me well. I
You
said,
know,
I don't feel as if I'm 85 years old. I really feel like
But
there's
he
just,
is. He's
here she
85.
is, Hector.
go look at Arlene.
Good
Show
to
How
them,
are
see
you, my
you.
dear? Here, come
show
down
them
a
how
little bit.
beautiful you are. Look
Thank
how
you.
beautiful it is. Can
She
you,
is beautiful.
Yes.
You know,
I,
you
I
both
took her
look,
out of the cradle at age 19 when I married her.
you both look the same as when I met you back in 2015. My goodness, that is so
Uh,
beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, Ron, go ahead. You have
I was
something.
going to say, if folks would like to take a look at my website and learn a little bit more, I can give them that also.
Please do so. Go
It's
ahead.
the number 4, ronklein.com.
The number 4, Ron
Number
Klein.
4, ronklein.com. And it's RONKLEIN. And that takes them right to the Grandfather of Possibilities,
That is
which
so
is the real
beautiful.
website. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ron. Listen, I
I
really
loved it.
appreciate this. Is beautiful. You really made our day. Everyone that's watching, please view this video again. Share this video with others. I'll tell you, people need to be inspired. Every single human being has genius in them. All we got to do is
Absolutely.
just tap into it, just like Ron has done here today. And
Smart, daring, and different.
yes,
Simple. Very simple.
you know, Ron, I can tell you one thing, right? Right now, I'm 57 years old. I'm going to be 58 now in July 2020. I can tell you
Wow.
one thing. I am so grateful and I am so proud to say that I never met Einstein, who invented a lot of stuff, but I met you, my friend. I met Klein.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to keep going. Thank you, Hector.
Thank you,
My
my friend. Listen,
family. My
thank
regards
you.
to your family.
Thank you very much. All the best to you, your family as well. And we'll speak very soon, my friend. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
And for
sir.
those of you watching, thank you. Have a beautiful day today. Thank you.
Thank you.